Hello and welcome to another podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Today, we're going to go deeper into the topic of mindset and embodiment and how making 3 shifts that I will be sharing with you, 3 shifts of embodied mindset. So bringing together mindset and embodiment, how those 3 shifts helped me step up as an empowered woman and trauma-informed somatic coach, trainer, and educator. It's been a really long journey of growth, of personal development, of working with my own mindset, doing somatic practices, doing a lot of therapeutic work, doing a lot of soul searching. And now, as I'm sitting here and we are just about to start our 4th cohort of trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification, my heart is filled with joy and gratitude and awe towards how this journey has unfolded, because a lot of it was to do with me setting goals and working with coaches and mentors and putting in the work. A lot of it has also been to do with the unfolding, or as I like to call it, unfurling of life and nourishment and connection, and co-regulation with other women. And so I want to dive deeply into this process and share those 3 shifts with you. And my wish for you is that you will be able to take those 3 shifts and actually implement them within your daily life. Because as a somatic coach and practitioner and trainer, I've learned that the mind and body are inseparable. If you have done any kind of mind body practices like yoga or meditation or somatic movement, you would know from your experience of those that the mind and body are inseparable. But so often, when we try to bring it into our business, or when we try to bring it into more coaching or therapeutic approaches, that mind-body connection gets somehow lost in the process. And why am I saying this? Well, I'm saying this because over the last 30 years, I have done a lot of therapy. I have done a lot of therapeutic training. I have done a lot of um, mind-focused trainings like NLP and Master NLP and coaching and motivational interview, lots of stuff as part of my social care job, and as well in my personal life and in my business. I love that process of learning, the process of implementing. So really, for me, when I'm talking about implementing, that's about embodying what I learn. And so today I'm sharing 3 embodied mindset shifts that help me step up as a woman and to feel empowered as a woman and as a trauma-informed somatic trainer and coach. This shift really transformed how I lead my life, how I live my life, and how I show up for my clients and in the training certifications. So let's explore them together. As we are exploring them, my invitation to you, I will be, inviting you to embody it yourself. So the first embodied shift is from self-doubt to embodied confidence. It's one thing to know that we're enough, that we are worthy as we are enough as we are, that we are bringing into this life and into our work enough wisdom, enough knowledge, but it's another thing to embody that knowing. You know, if you pick up any magazine, it will tell you that you are worthy just as you are, that you are enough just as you are. And we all know that on a mind level. But so often, when I work with other female practitioners, it's quite clear that actually they are not embodying confidence, that confidence or self-worth or being enough is not an embodied experience, that they know it on a mind level, but not on an embodied level. And this certainly has been my experience in the early days when I was working as a practitioner, as a coach, working in social care. You know, even when I left social care after 16 years of working in social care, and I went fully self-employed almost, you know, coming close to 9 years now, even then, I had so much self-doubt. And because I've already been in a position where I was working with yoga and mindfulness, I had my daily practice, you know, I was very aware that that self-doubt, this second-guessing myself, lived not just in my mind, but also in my body. It wasn't just the stories that I was telling myself about who I was, what I could do, but I would feel tension and anxiety in my chest and especially in my stomach every time I thought about stepping into a new role, about taking on a new project. And one of the things that is really interesting is that I followed this pattern that I had, that when I agreed to do something and I knew I needed to do a big project and, you know, step up and do something, whether, you know, that was in social care or later in my business, I would initially just collapse. I would crash completely. And then I would go through a process of really acknowledging it, that I just crashed, that I couldn't, I believed I couldn't do it. I believed I was confused. I felt really overwhelmed. And then I would have to shake myself off and step up and do things that felt too big for me. And looking back at my life, this is a pattern that I experience a lot. And I think this has got a lot to do with being quite introverted and moving to London when I was 18, you know, being a very, very young introverted woman, moving to Brixton in London from Poland, never really being away from family, having to speak a different language, not knowing anybody in London. And what I experienced then was this crash, which lasted for quite a long time, of really feeling completely alone and really self-doubting myself and, you know, trying to find my way in a very unfamiliar place. And so that repeated itself over the years. And, you know, the shift from that self-doubt to embodied confidence, that didn't come from just me telling myself affirmations or thinking in a more positive way. I knew intuitively that I had to learn to feel my worth in my body. And for me, what I realized was that it wasn't just around the worth, it was also to do with feeling safe enough to show up in a different way. For me, this is often a missing piece that I see when I work with women. You know, I've had a lot of therapy over the years and huge amounts of therapeutic and personal development training and work. But most of it was done through top-down approach and didn't really include the body. And as I said, I was lucky enough that I was already practicing yoga and mindfulness, and I knew that the body, I was very in tune in my body, but my body and the sensations in my body were way too overwhelming for me to make any sense of it apart from just reacting from it. And so the nervous system education and really understanding what it means to feel safe enough, what it means to feel regulated, or, regulated as a nervous system regulated and physiologically regulated, meaning feeling grounded, feeling stable, feeling present. That really made a huge difference. So this process of really tuning in into my body, what is my body saying? What stories am I telling myself? And then learning somatic practices that would help me to feel more stable and more present in the moment. And that included, obviously, the breath work and the grounding techniques and intentional mindful movement, with the intention of embodying the confidence and stability in my daily life, not just on the yoga mat, made a huge, huge difference. So linking the mind and body in this way can transform your life and can transform your relationship with yourself. Yes, it might not happen overnight, but slowly we start to feel more expansion. Slowly we can start feel more connection within ourselves, to others, to our environment, feeling safe enough to take risk in a way that is right for us. And through that, we start to embody confidence. We start to bring that, and then we start to bring that embodied confidence into other areas of our lives. So you might be more confident in one area of your life, and then you can bring it into other areas of your life. So I'd like you to reflect for yourself. How can you embody and play with and embody this understanding, this shift from self-doubt to embodied confidence? So one way that you could do it is the next time when your self-doubt creeps in, when you start second-guessing yourself, when the stories come up in your body about who am I and who am I to do this, and nobody cares, and I'm working so hard and nobody's responding, and I'm never going to be able to change it. Whatever that story is, that record that plays in your mind, take some time and tune into your body. Notice where you feel tightness or contraction. Notice and experience what's going on in your body. And then from that space, you can start to embody something slightly different. So you could maybe ground yourself by standing tall, planting your feet firmly on the ground, and feeling your presence in the room. You could orient yourself within the safety of your immediate environment, knowing that you are safe enough here in this moment. You could breathe into the spaces of tightness and contraction within your body. You could move your body gently to end with curiosity and kindness, and to explore these places of tightness and contraction. And as you breathe into those spaces, you could see if maybe there is a little bit of room for release and expansion. And rather than forcing anything, trying to change it or fix it, just being curious about your experience, learning to understand what's really going on for you. Because as we move in this way, as we connect in this way with ourselves, with our body, with our body's wisdom, and as we start to consciously and mindfully embody confidence, you will notice that your thoughts start to shift as well. And this is why, of course, I love polyvagal theory that talks about the state and the story. So many approaches, even within coaching or therapy, focus on the story only. What happened, why it happened, how do I feel, what does it mean about me? But they do not include the body. And so we want to remember that embodied confidence is not just the story that you tell yourself about who you are and what you are capable of within the context of your life or work, but it's also a state of being. And when I say a state of being, I'm talking about your physiology and your nervous system. And this is why understanding the nervous system and physiology is such a powerful thing, because we start to approach this work in a different way. Try it out for yourself and see what comes up for you, how you can make it your own. And if we move to the embodied shift number 2, that's from fear to grounded presence. And so many of us, well, maybe everybody, none of us really want to feel a lot of fear. But fear is a natural part of growth. When you do something new, you will experience fear. And fear as uncertainty, not knowing whether you're able to do it because you've never done it before, not knowing whether it's going to work because there are no guarantees in life or work. This is a natural part of the growth. And we can let fear take us out of our bodies and into that anxious thinking and overworking or reacting. Or we can use the body to ground ourselves in the present moment. Because fear often pulls us into the future. It's all the stuff around what ifs. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? What if they laugh at me? What if they criticize me? What if they reject me? What if they say I'm a fraud? What if? But when we come back to the body, we can really come back to the present moment. We can reclaim our power in the present moment. So if you've been following me for a while, you might know that I changed my business model a number of times. So I've been self-employed for over 14 years, and the last 8.5, almost 9 years, fully self-employed. And I ran a yoga and wellness studio and for a few years, and then I closed that and I worked from home. I did a lot of one-to-one work. I did a lot of groups. I did a lot of retreats. Retreat days. I've done a lot of trainings, and when the pandemic came, at that point, I already closed my yoga and wellness studio, and I was working already on developing the trauma-informed yoga and embodied resilience teacher training. I wanted to step into that training space. I was doing a lot of one-to-one work. I was doing, some groups, weekly group sessions, some workshops, some day retreats. And I really wanted to step into the training because I realized that many of the yoga and wellness practitioners that I've been, mentoring and supporting at that point already didn't really have the nervous system education, didn't really understand trauma, didn't really have an understanding of what can come up within the sessions with clients and how to work, how to offer that safe enough container with that understanding. They didn't know how to read somebody's presentation, what state they are in physiologically and the nervous system. They couldn't make those connections because they didn't have that experience. And I realized that, for those 16 years at that point, that was, almost 20 years of experience of working with trauma, with nervous system, with mental health, with family dynamics, child protection, all of that has given me a lot of experience that I could share with others. And throughout my, work in social care, I've done a lot of groups. Most of the time I was doing two per day. A lot of workshops, a lot of trainings. I created group work manuals. I supervised and mentored practitioners and volunteers. I've had a lot of experience already. However, starting my own training certification and the institute was extremely challenging. And what was really difficult was that it was just when the pandemic hit. And so I wouldn't say I wasn't ready, but I was thrown into making decisions much quicker than I would have liked to, maybe. Overnight, the pandemic hit and I lost almost overnight 3/4 of my income. And one of the things that I learned over the years from living in a different country as an immigrant is that, you can't rely on anything. You just have to make it yourself. You have to step up to the challenge. You have to make it work. And so, I knew that at that point I would either drown or I would swim. And so even though I was really scared and I felt really overwhelmed and, my thoughts were spiraling out, thinking about failure, rejection, and people not really wanting or embracing that program, maybe not resonating with it. My nervous system was on a high alert. And it was making it hard to think clearly and act from a place of alignment. And I don't think this is just my experience, because I know that many of us have experienced something similar. And so, initially I really noticed how there were certain behaviors that I was doing that really were not helping, like checking behaviors, checking the doors, checking the windows, the conservatory door, really listening. It was my nervous system was on a very high alert and feeling very unsafe. And rather than trying to push that fear away, I used somatic techniques and I used the understanding that I had to stay grounded and to get support from, my friends and my colleagues. And I focused on a lot of practices on my mat, a lot of walking in nature, and really trying to stay grounded and present. And similar kind of thing happened, although not to such a big degree, when I first brought out the beta cohort of trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification. Again, I felt this fear coming up of not knowing if women will resonate with it, if women will like it, not knowing whether I was sharing the right kind of stuff, even though it really worked for me and it works for my clients. And again, instead of trying to push it away, I used the somatic techniques that I was teaching to stay fully present, to really tuning in. One of the most wonderful practices that I teach in our coaching training certification is the practice of focusing, or as I call it, embodied listening. So really tuning in into your experience in a different way. And the most wonderful thing that happens in approaching the relationship with yourself in this way, with your felt senses, with different parts in your body, is that your relationship with yourself and your relationship with different states and feelings and experiences changes. And it helps you to really understand what those reactions are all about. So we learn focusing. We start with focusing, that embodied listening, and we also use IFS, the internal family systems model of understanding, to really go deeper into understanding what might be going on for you. Because fear is just a reaction, a response to really growing and stepping out of your comfort zone. So my invitation to you is that when your fear arises next time, instead of letting it carry you away, instead of crashing and collapsing into it or running away, instead of believing the story that comes up in your mind, allow yourself to come back into your body. Allow yourself to ground through your feet or your sitting bones. Allow yourself to notice the sensations. Allow yourself to breathe into your belly or into your chest. Allow yourself to do some orienting within the safety of your immediate environment. And allow yourself to approach and be curious with kindness what's really going on for you. And one of the ways that you can do it is just really acknowledging, yes, something is really feeling scared in me. There's a part of me or something that is really freaking out in this moment. I am really, really noticing that. I see you. I see you. I'm here with you. And you can ask yourself, what's true for me in this moment? What's true? Yes, there is something in me or a part of me that is freaking out. And at the same time, in this moment, I am safe. I am not being attacked by any big animal or anything around me. And I can trust this present moment. One of the other things that I say to myself is really connecting with all the inner resources and everything that I know as a 51-year-old woman. Because from experience, I know that those parts of me that come up that are really in this state of fear and reaction of fear are usually the younger parts of me that are freaking out, that they don't know how I'm going to cope, that maybe I'm going to be rejected in some way or judged in some way. And so really connecting with who I am in this moment and everything that I've been through my story, through my lived experience, helps me to ground myself here in this moment and helps me to remember that, yes, there are parts of me that are freaking out in this moment. And at the same time, I have the power to choose, and I can do things that will help me to shift my state of being into more regulated state, nervous system state, and physiological state. And I can also ask for support of my community or those that I really trust. Check it out for yourself. Play with it. This is a life-changing practice that will help you to really step up in a way that is right for you in any area of your life. And so that, that helps me to move, leads me to the embodied shift number 3, and that is from individual power to collective embodiment. And one of the most powerful shifts I've made is moving from the idea of my own individual empowerment to collective embodiment. Now, within today's society, we are often taught to strive for personal success and independence. That is the promise of capitalism, the biggest myth and promise of capitalism, that we can do it on our own, and that we are told we have to fight for the resources, for work, for clients, and that we are in competition with each other. And what I've noticed and really experienced, I've worked with, is that for women and for men, but especially in women containers, it creates a sense of distrust and feeling alone in our daily struggles and in our business struggles. This is one of the feedback that I've heard the most from within our trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification. Women openly saying that they weren't that sure about being in women-only container of the training. And then over time, really appreciating the safety of that container, the safety of being able to connect with other women, the sense of sharing and vulnerability and co-regulation that comes from holding space for others and being held within a safe container. In my work, I learned that true empowerment is collective, because it is about how we can support each other, how we can uplift one another, how we can co-regulate with each other. Our nervous systems are wired for connections. And when we embody this truth, not just understand it on a mind level, but really embody that truth, we can create spaces for collective healing. We bring the wisdom, that collective wisdom that we share. And that collective wisdom also includes the wisdom and energy of generations of women that came before us to create so much freedom of choice within our society for us living here now. And that is truly inspiring. So that was one of the, biggest shifts for me, that I could lean into other women that I trust. I could share this journey with other women, and that I could also lean into the generations of women, including my mom, including my grandmothers, including their mothers, and so on, that I could lean into it, that I was never really truly on my own, even though my mind throughout my life would say that you are completely on your own, you can rely only on yourself, you have to make it happen. And when I truly allowed myself to drop into this embodied understanding of I am never alone, that also goes for their life itself. I experience a really huge shift when I allow myself to do that, to really experience it. So within our training certification, the coaching training certification, I realized that it wasn't just about what I could teach or offer as an individual. It was so much about building a community where women could co-create and support one another's growth. And within that container, I often say, I am not an expert here. I am just holding this space for us and I'm teaching you what I know, but please bring what you know into this space as well. Let's co-create. Let's support one another's growth, because one of the things that I really know is that this training has changed me as a woman and as a practitioner, as a trainer, as a founder of a training institute. I am not the same as I was 2 years ago when we first started the big training certification, the coaching training certification. And I love collaborating with other female practitioners. Within our training now, we have got a couple of other trainers who I've collaborated with over the years, and I love their work. We also now have got 2 mentors who are graduates of our certification program. I just finished hosting a summit with another 2 female practitioners who are also graduates of our certification program. There is so much in here. Each one of us has got a unique voice and brings into the collective their lived experience, not just what they trained in, but also their lived experience, the unique approach, the unique point of view, the unique personality. And the more that I embodied the understanding that my success was tied to the success of others and that collaborative and co-regulative piece, the more I saw the power of the collective healing. The truth is that together we can do so much more than we ever could alone. So notice whether that resonates, or notice whether you feel maybe some resistance or fear or even resentment or anger in response to me saying that. Notice your own personal relationship with this piece of collective empowerment. Be curious about it. There's not much point you making yourself wrong about this. It's just simply being curious, because ultimately we cannot change what we are not aware of. We first need to become aware of something for then to start relating to it in a different way. So one of the ways that you can do that, and my invitation is that you practice this embodiment by engaging in co-regulation. When you're with others, whether in a professional setting or personal relationship, notice how your body responds to the group's energy. Notice what stories you tell yourself. And allow yourself to be supported by the collective, and in turn offer your grounded presence to those around you. So often these days when I'm with somebody and I notice that they're struggling and their behavior is coming as aggressive or suspicious or judgmental or quite spiky or quite shut down. My intention is still to connect with them from that more grounded, present, compassionate space. To understand, and that comes from understanding of the nervous system and the physiology, knowing that if somebody is behaving in this way, their behavior and their presentation shows how they feel within. And I know that this is not how they would choose to feel if they felt that they had a choice, because nobody wants to be in conflict with others on purpose. It's not a happy or nice place to be. And so really understanding that and offering that space. And, sometimes the other person's presentation and state changes because there is a space for co-regulation and they respond to it. And sometimes it doesn't. But the thing that it does for me is that it allows me to show up in a way that is important to me. And remember that I have the power to choose. And yes, some days it's much harder than other days. And sometimes I think, oh God, I am not for human consumption today. But just knowing that gives me the power to choose of how I'm going to approach my day. How can I take care of myself? How can I take care of myself in relationships with others if I am feeling this way myself? And so one of the things that I say in the training, is all of you is welcome here. All of you is welcome here. You're welcome into this space. You are part of this collective, however you feel. And you can choose to look after yourself within however you feel in this moment. So see what resonates. Take what resonates, play with it, see how you can make it your own, and work with it in your life and your business. Okay, so this were the 3 embodied mindset shifts that helped me step into my power and more grounded presence as a trauma-informed somatic coach, trainer and educator, and a woman. And as I said, the shifts aren't just intellectual exercises for you to do. These are ways of really allowing yourself to connect with yourself, to choose for yourself how you want to be. And they are deeply rooted in the body. And they can guide you how you can move through your days, how you can navigate this society, today's society and the world. And I hope these insights can help you reconnect with your own embodied wisdom and inspire you to approach your growth in a more integrated way. Try them out for yourself, make them your own, use them to navigate your life. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe or share or even leave a review. I'd love to hear how the shifts resonate with you and what embodied practices help you in your own journey. You can reach out to me via Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. And you can find all the information about our trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification on our website, anettaeattrack.com. And until next time, my intention and invitation to you is stay grounded, look after yourself, stay present, and keep showing up for yourself and your community. Take care for now.